All right, good evening, wrestling fans, and welcome to Heartland Championship Wrestling here from the Dave Cave and the Epic Sports Broadcasting Network. My name is Dave Little, and to kick things off, hello to Carl Zilla in the chat room, and a number of announcements before we get into tonight's card. Hello, Cleveland baseball fan 879. We'll start things tonight on a somber note, as we have just heard recently this week of the passing who was a vibrant and productive and engaged member of this community. In fact, attended a number of these broadcasts using his screen name Zawa the Butcher. And Chris unfortunately passed away unexpectedly this past week, and has been the topic of concern among members of the Filsinger Games community. And a GoFundMe has been set up to cover funeral expenses for our departed friend, and that link is in the comments, in the description of this video. So for those of you who have the means and the opportunity and the inclination to visit the GoFundMe and remember Chris Hoover and support his family, please do so. On a lighter note, I am pleased to announce that coming up this Monday night, 2 days from now, I have been invited to be a guest on the Filsinger Games official Roll-Up podcast. We'll be recording that on Monday night. I think that drops on Wednesday or so. It is going to be a Legends themed show, so if you get a chance to check that out, the Roll Up podcast, the official Filsinger Games podcast featuring Todd Jorshell and various other dignitaries from the Filsinger Games community. It will be my privilege to be part of that broadcast this week. And now we get to wrestling action here in the Philadelphia Spectrum. It has already been a crazy night in our pre-taped matches. The big announcement being a major injury took place earlier in the evening as Bob Backlund, a very popular contender for the Pacific Championship Wrestling Championship and a perennial contender to that title, was injured. Actually was on the receiving end of a horrific beating from Gorilla Monsoon. Once again, the Gorilla Monsoon reign of terror continues on in Patriot Championship Wrestling, and tonight it was Bob Backlund who was the victim of that beating and had to be taken away from ringside on a stretcher. So the mood here in Philadelphia remains somewhat somber, but we will run down what has happened so far and then get into tonight's matches. The show opened with Gorgeous George picking up a victory over Jim Londos. Buddy Rogers then followed up with a match against Bob Armstrong, and it was Buddy Rogers winning that by way of the figure 4 grapevine. A couple of wild matches happened next as Mr. Fuji and Mr. Saito picked up a disqualification victory over the team of Dominic DeNucci and Don Leo Jonathan. Fuji actually picked a fight when he threw salt in the eyes of Dominic DeNucci. Don Leo Jonathan came to the defense of his partner and body slammed Fuji onto the announce table at ringside, costing his team the disqualification. That was followed by a singles match that also ended in disqualification by way of a wild brawl at ringside, as Pedro Morales won that match by disqualification over George Hackenschmidt. Then we saw the Monsoon match. He was awarded that victory by countout after the vicious assault on the arena floor. And just before we came to air, it was superstar Billy Graham, by way of a top rope knee drop, picking up a win over Joe Stecker. And we will see superstar Graham in action here in 2 weeks on the channel from the pay-per-view broadcast of Heartland Havoc 108, Lift Me Up, as Superstar Graham gets his comeuppance, or his opportunity to square off face-to-face against Vader. And the hostilities between these two have been brewing for some number of months. Now we get into tonight's card, our live matches. We will have 3 matches on tonight's card, and all of these matches are #1 contenders matches. We're going to kick things off with the New Age Outlaws, Billy Gunn and the Road Dogg Jesse James, facing off against Typhoon and Earthquake, the Natural Disasters. And the winner of that match will earn a title shot against the Wild Samoans for the Pacific Tag Team Championship. We'll follow that up with a #1 contenders match for the Pacific the Patriot Heavyweight Championship, as Ed Strangler Lewis takes on Harley Race, and the winner of that match moves on to a title shot at Patriot Heavyweight Champion Kurt Angle. And in our main event, the Wild Samoans will face off against Dick the Bruiser and the Crusher for a shot at the World Tag Team Championship, currently held by the Fabulous Freebirds. So, contenders matches, all 3 tonight, and we are ready to get things started with the New Age Outlaws taking on the Natural Disasters. I'm a little bit raspy tonight. I just did some cleaning in my storage room and kicked up a little dust, and I've got a little dust in my throat. But we will get through things here tonight from Philadelphia and the Spectrum. Starting off with tag team competition, it will be Billy Gunn opening the match against Earthquake. Earthquake, of course, John Tenta, famous sumo wrestler and very accomplished professional wrestler, and it is Earthquake who gets the opening initiative role, and he is going to come with a jumping kick to the chest, but that's an agility move, and Billy Gunn dodges that move, and Billy follows up with a standing drop kick, and he nails that one against Earthquake, and Earthquake staggers back, does not leave his feet. Kip James moves in with a jackhammer, gets him up and down hard to the canvas. Good show of strength by Billy Gunn, but Earthquake manages to get to his feet, and Billy Gunn is going to go with a whip to the turnbuckle. Off the turnbuckle comes Earthquake, and on a roll of 8, it is a big kick from Billy Gunn that stuns the Earthquake. And Kip James and Billy Gunn will keep control. Now he's going to tag in the Road Dogg. Road Dogg into the match, and Road Dogg is going to also go with a... He thought about a whip to the ropes, but he couldn't budge John Tenta. And so BG instead is going to double team suplex that takes Earthquake up, over, and down to the canvas hard. How about that? An add 1 maneuver on level 1 offense in tag team competition for the New Age Outlaws. And Earthquake now is slow to get to his feet as the Road Dogg is on him. And the Road Dogg is going to go now with a standing drop kick. He'll connect on that on a roll of 9 or lower. On a roll of 6, he hits it. And the standing drop kick backs off Earthquake, still doesn't leave his feet. They cannot get this big man down. And now a forearm smash. Earthquake thought about a tag, but he's not going anywhere. As Road Dogg comes back with a running shoulder tackle, still cannot take Earthquake off his feet. Tag to Billy Gunn. They're going to attempt a double team here, and they get a double running forearm smash. Earthquake still will not leave his feet, as Billy Gunn now is in control, and he gets him up for another suplex. And this time Earthquake has had enough. He's just going to roll out of the ring after that suplex. Action spilling out to the arena floor. And on the arena floor, it is a roll of 6. And that is the Wild Brawl on the arena floor. The best man wins. Both of these guys are B-rated performers outside the ring. So Billy Gunn maintains control as action returns to the ring. And now Billy Gunn is going to go for the Famouser. That big Famouser, the standing leg drop. That is a finishing move. The pin roll here is 5 or lower. And already Earthquake is going to have to use a pin save. And on a roll of 3, Typhoon hits the ring, and we're going to go to the wrestler interference charge. Typhoon has seen enough. He hits the ring as Billy Gunn hits the Famouser and goes for the cover. What's going to happen here when Typhoon hits the ring? On a roll of 5, your ally attacks the opponent with a deadly specialty move. If there is no disqualification, you recover and pin the opponent. And, on a roll of 6 or lower, this will be a disqualification here. Oh, and that's going to be a DQ. So the New Age dominate that match and win by DQ as Typhoon hits the ring to break the pin on Earthquake, who had been dominated throughout. So give the win to the New Age Outlaws. They will move on to face the Wild Samoans. And you got to figure that two big guys like Typhoon and Earthquake would be the perfect opportunity to hone their skills against bigger opponents, because they are going to have a brutal match when they face off against the Wild Samoans. So on the pin save attempt, it is Typhoon who hit the avalanche on Billy Gunn and left him squashed flat, but that was enough to call for the DQ. And the New Age Outlaws are your winners. As we say hello to Dave Gardner, and welcome to Heartland Championship Wrestling here from the Dave Cave. The following contest is scheduled for one fall, and it is a number 1 contenders match for the Heartland, or for the Patriot Heavyweight Championship. Harley Race, 6'1", 268, out of Kansas City, Missouri, will take on the Strangler, Ed Lewis, 5'10", 236, out of Louisville, Kentucky. And these two are outstanding grapplers. Ed Lewis is not afraid to mix it up. Actually, neither of these guys are afraid to do the dirty deeds when the opportunity calls for itself. And the opening initiative roll goes to Harley Race. As we've got GWF Promoter here in the chat room. It is a privilege. My buddy Grant Bachoco, it is great to have you. Check out that fabulous channel. GWF Promoter does it all. Wrestling, promotes the game as well as anybody. And it is exciting to see you here, my man. Harley Race wins the opening initiative roll, and we'll be starting things off with a jumping knee smash. That is an agility move, and Strangler Lewis has the superior agility, so Strangler gets out of the way of that jumping knee smash, and it is Lewis who comes back and catches a double wrist lock. Double wrist lock applied by Lewis, and Harley Race is down. Lewis follows that up with a step over toe hold. That is a choice F maneuver. So to complete that, he is going to need a roll of 7 or lower. And on a roll of 4, he is able to complete the step over toe hold. But Race is able to free himself from that. Race slow to get to his feet. Lewis is the first man up, and Lewis is on him. Oh, and a sucker punch from Ed Lewis. Harley Race not happy about that. He fires back. And it is Harley Race who again tries that jumping knee smash, again misfires, and Lewis again takes over control. Lewis with that double wrist lock again, working the neck and shoulders of Harley Race with that double wrist lock, hoping to set up that Strangler's headlock, which is a devastating submission move. Lewis follows that up with a whip to the ropes. Off the ropes comes Harley. But on a roll of 7, it is Lewis who drops down, and Harley comes back the other way. And this time on a roll of 11, it is a double clothesline. Both men go with the clothesline, and both men go down. The wrestler with the better ropes rating recovers first. That is Harley Race. Race the first to his feet, and he is in control here on level 3 offense. And he is going to go for a shoulder breaker. Again, this is a choice chart maneuver. and he will need a roll of 6 or lower to complete the shoulder breaker. And on a roll of 9, Lewis slips out of that one. And it is Lewis who takes control, and Lewis takes Harley Race down to the mat and wrenches the neck. The neck yoke, a painful maneuver applied by Ed Lewis. And once again, Harley Race is going to leave the ring. And action will spill out to the arena floor. And on a roll of 7, that is the best man wins roll. Both these men are A-rated performers on the arena floor. So the wrestler on offense, in this case Lewis, wins the brawl on the arena floor. And action will return to the ring with Lewis still in control. And now Lewis grabs the headlock. The Strangler's headlock has been applied. The submission roll is 2. And on a 5, Harley Race is able to get out. But Strangler quickly taking control. Lewis gets his foot over the rope, and as soon as Race gets to his feet, the headlock is applied once again. Lewis is relentless with his hold. The submission roll is now 3 or lower. And on a roll of 8, Race is once again able to get to the ropes and work his way free. And Lewis goes back to the headlock again. Carl Zilla says, I've had situations where Lewis will keep that Strangler's headlock on for 5 or 6 consecutive rolls. This is number 3, and the submission rating is now 4 or lower. And on a roll of 7, Race is able to continue on. But the move is clearly taking its toll here. And on a roll of 4, he goes for it again. The Strangler's headlock is in place. The submission roll now is 5 or lower. And on a roll of 7, Race is able to gut it out. How is he ever going to escape this hold? And he got him again. On a roll of 6. Headlock applied again. And the submission roll is now 6 or lower. And on a roll of 5, he got him. So I think that was 4 or 5 applications. Well, yeah, it was the 5th application of the headlock. Does it for Lewis. It took him 5 tries, but he gets the submission. And it will be Strangler Lewis headed to the pay-per-view broadcast 2 weeks from tonight to square off with Kurt Angle for the Patriot Heavyweight Championship. So Lewis did exactly what he needed to do. He followed his game plan, and when the opportunity presented himself, he clamped on that headlock. Race did the best he could to survive, but after 5 times in a row with that headlock, Race was forced to give it up, and Ed Lewis is your winner in tonight's number 1 contenders match. And that brings us, ladies and gentlemen, to our main event of the evening. This is a number 1 contenders match for the World Tag Team Championship. The Fabulous Freebirds are your current champions. They have a long rivalry against Dick the Bruiser and the Crusher. And the Bruiser and Crusher would love nothing more than to get their hands on the Freebirds once again. But they're going to have to go through the Wild Samoans to get there. The Samoans are your Patriot Tag Team Champions. Dick the Bruiser and Crusher are the Pro Wrestling Mid-America Tag Team Champions. So a couple of territorial champions squaring off for a shot at the World Tag Team titles. As Cleveland baseball fan 879 points out, 2 weeks from tomorrow is Spring Forward Sunday. So it will be Spring Forward Saturday when the next pay-per-view broadcast from Heartland Championship Wrestling takes place. But now it is going to be a Donnybrook here as Bruiser and Crusher take on the Samoans. And this is a contenders match, so disqualification rules will be in effect, much to the chagrin of all 4 of these men. These 4 men are all brawlers, and they would love nothing more to just duke it out mano-a-mano without a referee in place. But when it is a championship situation or a contender situation, disqualification rules will be in place. So to start things off, it will be the Crusher against Wild Samoan Afa, circling each other in the center of the ring, and they just can't wait to get it on. And it is the Crusher who takes the opening advantage. and it is the Crusher who comes with a punch to the throat. Oh, goodness. He just throat punches Offa, and Offa doesn't flinch. Offa just fires right back on the reversal, whipping Crusher into his own corner, where Offa and Sika are beating down the Crusher, and the Crusher doesn't care. He just brawls his way right back out of that corner, and we're back in the center of the ring once again. So right from the get-go, Offa survives the throat punch, Crusher survives the double team. Offa's still in control, and he has got a choice B roll, which will either be an agility roll or a whip to the turnbuckle. The agility roll, the odds are better. So on a roll of 10 or lower, he gets the agility roll on a 10 and is able to lay in some pectoral chops on the Crusher. And the Crusher is staggered back but does not go down. And Offa follows that up. He's going to try those chops again. And on a roll of 4, he connects again. And Crusher ain't going nowhere. But he thought about a tag, could not get over to make the tag. So it is Offa back in control with a big scoop slam and down to the canvas hard. He's going to go for a cover. The pin roll is on Snake Eyes. And on a roll of 4, Crusher kicks out. But Offa already exerting himself in this match with that big scoop slam. And now he's going to follow that up with a double team Samoan drop. Into the ring comes Sika. The Samoan drop has been executed. That's a +2 finisher. So the pin roll now is a 5, and that's going to bring Dick the Bruiser into the ring for the pin save. And on a roll of 8, Dick the Bruiser can't get there. So Crusher's going to be pinned on a 5 or lower. And on a roll of 6, Crusher just got out of it. Oh my goodness. Dick the Bruiser forced to use the first pin save attempt already. Sika now the legal man in the ring after the double team Samoan drop. Sika is going to go up for a top rope headbutt. That is a 0 finisher. He's going to go for the cover. The pin roll is 4 or lower. Dick's not going to use his last pin save on a 4 or lower. And on a roll of 8, Crusher kicks out. But Crusher is in big trouble here, starting things off, as both Samoans have taken their toll on the Crusher. And now it is another Samoan drop. Another +2 finisher, tag team maneuver. The pinfall now is a 7, so Dick the Bruiser has to use his pin save. On a roll of 10, once again, he cannot get there. Crusher will be pinned on a roll of 7 or lower. And on a roll of 7, they got him. How about that? The Wild Samoans double teaming on the Crusher and beating him down for the pinfall victory. Sika scores the pin after the double team Samoan drop. And just like that, we have new #1 contenders for the NWA World Tag Team Championship. And boy, the fabulous Freebirds are going to have to show out in a big way against this vicious team of Offa and Sika, the Wild Samoans, at our pay-per-view in 2 weeks. All right, so that will wrap things up here from the Dave Cave for tonight. Thank you for everybody who checked us out. Cleveland Baseball Fan 879, Carl Zilla, GWF Promoter, D. Scott Howard. I'm sorry I missed your entrance there, sir. Dave Gardner, and a cast of thousands. Thank you all for tuning in for tonight's broadcast of Heartland Championship Wrestling. Tomorrow we'll be back with My Journey with Jesus, and as I mentioned, on Monday I will be honored to record the Roll Up podcast, the official podcast of Filsinger Games, as a guest of Todd Jorshell, and that podcast will drop sometime in the midweek. So look forward to the Legends of Wrestling chat on the Filsinger Games podcast this week. And until then, everybody, that's our stream, and I am out of here.